There is something almost poetic about watching someone refuse a piece of chocolate cake as naturally as someone else would accept a glass of water. While most eyes light up at the sight of a dessert, theirs remain indifferent, as if they were facing a plate of withered salad. No, thank you, they say with a polite smile, and the world around them seems to stop for a second, confused. How is it possible not to love sweets? It's not just a matter of taste, it's a silent rebellion against an almost universal pleasure. And behind this apparently simple choice hides a universe of memories, biology, and even philosophy. Before you think this is just snobbery or a forced attempt to be different, it's worth remembering, there's nothing wrong with not liking sweets. Just as some people can't stand the taste of coffee or the smell of coriander, the rejection of sugar can be as natural as the preference for it. But when this aversion goes beyond taste and turns into something almost visceral, when the smell of vanilla causes nausea or the texture of cream gives you goosebumps, it's a sign that something deeper is at play. Maybe the body is talking. Or the mind. Or both, in a dialogue that began a long time ago. For some people, rejection of sweets is not a choice, but a biological inheritance. Studies show that sensitivity to sweet taste varies genetically. While some have receptors that celebrate each sucrose molecule like a party, others perceive them as an attack, too intense, almost aggressive. It's as if, for them, sugar was not an invitation, but an invasion. And therein lies the first paradox: what for most is comfort, for them is physical discomfort. Imagine being allergic to the hug of someone who loves you. It's more or less like this. But biology alone doesn't explain everything. There are those who have learned to distrust sweets. Maybe in childhood, when ice cream was the reward for impeccable behavior and love, therefore, had a price. Or when the birthday cake arrived too late, after a family fight ruined the party. The brain files these associations: sweet equals manipulation, sweet equals disappointment. Over time, the mere sight of a brigadeiro can trigger an internal alarm. Be careful, this isn't just food. It's an emotional trap disguised as chocolate sauce. And then there are those for whom candy is an existential threat. Not in the dramatic sense, but in the everyday, pragmatic sense. They are the people who see sugar as an enemy of discipline, a saboteur of goals, a reminder that instant pleasure can be costly later. For them, refusing dessert is not just a question of taste, but of identity. If I give in, who will I become? Asks the voice in the head. Sweets, in this case, are not just food, they are a test of character. And every time they say no, they are reaffirming, I am stronger than my impulses. But it would be naive to reduce everything to trauma or willpower. There is a hidden philosophy in the rejection of sweets, a kind of modern asceticism. In a world where excess sugar is as common as the air we breathe, saying no can be an act of cultural resistance. It's like refusing fast food in the name of conscious eating, or preferring silence instead of background music. It's not just about what is rejected, but what is valued instead: mental clarity after a meal without glucose spikes, the satisfaction of a palate trained to more subtle flavors, such as the bitterness of a 90% chocolate or the acidity of a ripe fruit. For them, the true pleasure is not in the sugar, but in the absence of it, like those who prefer the morning light to the artificiality of a spotlight. Of course, not everything is deep theories. Sometimes the explanation is simple: they've already tried better things. A chef who works with sophisticated desserts may find an industrial cupcake bland. A traveler who has tried Arab or Japanese sweets can. Turning up your nose at a children's party brigadeiro. It's not a lack of appreciation, it's a high standard. Like someone who listens to a symphony orchestra and can no longer be moved by the car radio. Whatever the reason, biological, emotional, philosophical, or merely aesthetic, one thing is certain: anyone who doesn't like sweets isn't missing out on anything. You are, in fact, experiencing the world through a different filter. A filter that allows you to see sugar not as a necessity, but as a choice. And in a time where we are bombarded by stimuli that tell us what to want, knowing how to say no is a superpower. So, the next time someone turns down that piece of pie with a calm smile, don't think it's a joke. It may be that they have simply tasted sweetness elsewhere, in the stillness of a morning without a sugar hangover, in the satisfaction of a body that functions without ups and downs, or in the freedom of not being held hostage to a pleasure that the world insists on selling as mandatory. And you, Have you ever stopped to think about what your taste rejects and what that says about you? Comment here. Is there a food that everyone loves, but you just can't like? Share this text with those who also have a selective palate. And if you want more reflections like this, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Until next time, and may your life be as sweet as you want it to be. The non-sugar sweetness, a silent revolution of those who say no. There is a silent rebellion in those who refuse sweets. It's not stubbornness, nor forced asceticism, it's the courage to disobey a script. Because, since childhood, we are conditioned to associate happiness with sweet flavors: birthday cake, chocolate after a fall, ice cream that cures sadness. Sugar is the first emotional currency we receive. And when someone returns that coin, they are, in effect, questioning an entire system. Think about it. How many times have you heard "but how come you don't like Brigadeiro?" with a tone somewhere between disbelief and pity? As if refusing sweets was refusing joy itself. This isn't about taste, it's about dogma. Society has turned sugar into a synonym for love, reward, and celebration, and anyone who rejects this package is unintentionally dismantling a collective narrative. It's like returning a Christmas present, uncomfortable, almost offensive. But what if it was actually the most honest gift they could give themselves? What your no reveals about you, and why it scares others. Anyone who says no thanks to a piece of cake is often saying, "My body is not a storehouse of other people's emotions." Autonomy. My choices don't need applause. Trust. I prefer the taste of my own company. Insight. And this threatens the status quo, because we live in a culture that moneizes dependency. The sugar industry doesn't just sell products, it sells the idea that you are incomplete without them. When someone breaks this cycle, they are awakening a dangerous awareness. That pleasure is not synonymous with submission. Pause for reflection. How many things in your life do you consume out of habit, not desire? How many rewards are actually traps disguised as treats? The science behind no, why your brain may be right. Studies show that people with a low sweet tolerance often have 1. An increased sensitivity to flavors. For them, sugar is too intense, almost metallic. 2. A reward system less dependent on external dopamine, i.e., they seek pleasure from less obvious sources, such as a deep conversation or a completed project. 3. Memories associated with excesses, childhood sugar hangovers, family restrictions, or even medical traumas such as diabetes in the family. The most fascinating? These people often develop more complex palates. While most are satisfied with the basic sweet, they look for nuances: the bitterness of 90% chocolate, the acidity of a citrus fruit, the umami of an aged cheese. Your no to sugar may actually be a yes to a richer sensory experience. And you? Have you ever noticed how people who don't like sweets often have strong opinions about coffee, wine, or spices? It's no coincidence. Sugar as a metaphor. What else are you consuming without questioning? Here's the question few ask. If you can say no to candy, what else could you say no to? Toxic relationships disguised as bittersweet love? Jobs that sucked your energy in exchange for crumbs of recognition? News that, like candy, gives instant pleasure but leaves a bad taste afterwards. Refusing sugar is training to refuse what doesn't serve you. It's a political act in miniature, a declaration that you will not be seduced by anything that glitters or is packaged as a necessity. Thought experiment. Imagine if, for one day, you applied the same criteria you use for sweets to all of your choices. How many things would disappear from your life? The paradox. Why those who say no to sweet end up living a sweeter life. The irony is delicious. People who eat less sugar often enjoy the sweetness of life more. As 1. They savor the present, literally. A ripe strawberry seems to burst with flavor when your taste buds are not numbed by excess. Metaphor. It's like taking off your headphones at a concert, suddenly you hear every note. 2. Their bodies respond better. Without insulin spikes, energy is stable, mood is predictable, and even sleep improves. Result: less irritability, more patience to enjoy small joys. 3. They are not hostages to artificial moods. Those who depend on sugar to cheer up are, in fact, borrowing happiness from the future, and paying with interest, the drop after the peak. Whoever says no lives on their own credit. 4. Your celebrations are more authentic. A dinner with friends doesn't need dessert to be memorable. The real sweetness is in the connection, not the chocolate syrup. Final question: what if the life you call dull was actually a life free of distortions? The invitation: try saying no, and find out what shows up its place. This week, take the test. Refuse a sweet they offer you, no explanations, no guilt. Observe what appears in its place. A flavor you've never noticed before? A deeper conversation? The feeling of being in control, not at the mercy of a manufactured desire. Sugar is just the beginning. The real challenge is realizing how many other things you accept by inertia and what would happen if you finally chose. Now, tell me, what was the last thing you refused and felt free because of it? A sweet? An invitation? A belief? What did you discover there? Share this text with anyone who needs permission to say no, and remember, the sweetest life is the one you choose, not the one they shove down your throat. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next reflection. I'm going to talk about why some people hate surprise parties and what this reveals about trust. Until then, leaf fluttering in the wind. P.S. If you've made it this far, you're probably already one of those people who prefer quality over quantity, even in reading. Thank you for being part of this selective group. The power of no that nobody told you, when refusing, is the greatest act of self-love. Have you ever stopped to think that every yes you give without will is a no that you steal from yourself? It's not about being selfish. It's about preserving energy for what really matters and, more than that, training the world to respect you. The trap of automatic sims. Society teaches us that refusing an invitation equals being antisocial. Saying no to a request equals being rude. Denying a favor equals being ungrateful. But here's the blunt truth. Every yes is strong. Is a brick in the wall that separates you from your ideal life. Think about the last times you heavy checkmark # accepted a happy hour out of obligation and came home exhausted. Heavy checkmark # you took on a project that didn't inspire you and you spent weeks of procrastination. Heavy checkmark # swallowed an opinion just to avoid conflict and then hated himself in the mirror. How many hours of your life have you donated to things that don't fill your chest? What happens when you start saying no, for real? 1. You find out who really cares. People who respect your limits are the ones who deserve space in your life. The others? Leave or adjust. And this is a golden filter. 2. Your energy becomes immunity to emotional vampires. You know that friend who only calls when they need something? That relative who always has drama to take out on you? A polite no is the vaccine against toxic relationships. 3. You stop being reactive and become the creator of your life. When you stop saying yes out of inertia, you make space for what really moves you. Suddenly, you have time for that course you've been putting off for years. Your head becomes clear for ideas that didn't fit before. You choose your battles, instead of being drawn into other people's wars. 4. Your self-esteem takes a quantum leap. Every conscious no is a vote of confidence in yourself. It's you saying, I deserve more than crumbs of attention, meaningless projects, and empty conversations. And your subconscious hears this. And you start to believe. How to say no without guilt, and without burning bridges. The secret is not to be rude, it is to be clear, without unnecessary justifications. Some powerful scripts. Small blue diamond, 4 social invitations. I loved the invitation, but this time I'll pass. Thank you for thinking of me. No lies, no excuses. Anyone who insists after that doesn't deserve your time. Small blue diamond, 4 favor requests. I won't be able to help this time, but I hope everything goes well. No room for negotiation. Those who respect, understand. Small blue diamond, 4 opinions that don't serve you. Your point of view is interesting. I'll reflect. No discussion, no conflict. You owe no explanations for your peace. Electric light bulb golden tip: if you feel guilty, ask yourself. If I said yes, would I be doing it for myself, or to avoid other people's discomfort? The no that changed everything. Real stories. 1. The executive who stopped accepting meetings after 5 p.m. He gained 4 hours a week for his daughter and doubled his productivity during business hours. 2. The artist who stopped making work for exhibition. In 6 months, he tripled his income because he started to value his time. 3. The mother who said no to guilt about not being perfect. She discovered that raising happy children has nothing to do with being a superhero. And you? What no have you been putting off that, if said today, would release 10% of your energy? The dark side of no, when it becomes a shield. Attention, saying no is not about isolation. It's about selectivity. If you use no to crossmark avoid all risks, and stay in your comfort zone. Crossmark reject all criticism, and stop growing. Crossmark run away from all vulnerability, and live alone. Then it's not freedom. It's a disguised prison. True power is in saying no to what empties you. Yes to what expands you. Your 7-day challenge, the not conscious diet. For a week, write down every yes you say and ask. 1. Does it bring me joy, growth, or rest? 2. Or am I doing it out of fear, guilt, or inertia? At the end of the 7 days, you'll have a map of your energy leaks and the chance to plug them once and for all. Bonus, share in the comments. What was the hardest no you've ever said, and what changed afterwards? I'll read each one, and who knows, maybe your story will inspire someone else to free themselves. To reflect on, and take with you. Saying yes to everything is like leaving the door of your house wide open. Anyone comes in, makes a mess and leaves. Saying no is locking the door to time thieves, and AB. Laugh the window to what really matters. Save this. The most accomplished people I know are not the ones who do the most things. They are the ones who refuse the most distractions. Now tell me. What's the first thing you'll say no to this week? A habit? A relationship? A belief? What would you do with the time energy you would recover? Share this text with anyone who needs permission to set limits, and remember, the life you deserve is on the other side of the no's you're afraid to say. Bell turn on notifications so you don't miss the next reflection. Why some people attract toxic relationships, and how to break this pattern. Until then, and remember, every no is a yes to yourself. Herb. P.S. If you've made it this far, it's because you're ready for the next step. Most people live on autopilot. You don't. This already puts you ahead of 90%. Now just act. Yellow heart. Continuation of the text, expansion with engagement techniques. What if I told you that the no's you most fear saying are actually the doors you most need to open? Stop for a moment and imagine your life as a garden. Every yes you say without conviction is like planting a seed you didn't choose, and which, sooner or later, will suck your nutrients, shade your flowers and leave you reaping fruits you don't even like. As for the no's, they are necessary pruning. They cut what suffocates so that the rest grows strong. But why, then, do they hurt so much? The answer lies in an ancestral mechanism. Our brain was programmed to avoid the risk of exclusion. In the primitive tribe, saying no to the leader could mean being left without protection. Today, saying no to your boss, your partner, or even your family still triggers that same alarm. What if they abandon me? What if they think I'm selfish? The fear isn't of no, it's of the loneliness you think it will bring. And here's the blunt truth. The people who are most offended by your limits are the very people who benefit most from your lack of them. The myth of the good person, and why it holds you. Since we were children, we were taught that to be kind is to say yes. That to love is to give in. That being good means cancelling yourself out. But look closely, a river that overflows floods everything, including itself. Have you ever stopped to think that, often, what they call kindness is actually fear in disguise? Fear of conflict. Fear of losing love. Fear of being seen as difficult. But here's the secret. People who truly love you won't abandon you because you have limits. Those who disappear when you say no weren't there for you, they were there for what you did for them. The no paradox, or how it frees you to say yes to what matters. Think about the last time you said yes when you wanted to say no. How did you feel afterwards? Tired? Energy drained? Resentful? Anger at yourself for not being honest? Empty? Because, deep down, he betrayed his own needs. Now imagine the opposite. A clear, firm, blameless no. What happens? Space. Time for what really matters. Respect. People start to take you seriously. Self-confidence. You prove to yourself that your needs matter. Every no is a yes to. Heavy checkmark your mental peace. Heavy checkmark your personal projects. Heavy checkmark relationships that nourish you, not those that drain you. How to say no without guilt, a practical guide for those feeling selfish. 1. Start small. There is no need to deny a marriage proposal on the first try. Start by refusing an invitation you don't want to accept. I appreciate the invitation, but I won't be able to do it this time. 2. Don't over-justify. The more explanations you give, the more openings you open for negotiation. A no is complete. Example. Crossmark I can't because I have to wash clothes, clean the house and I still need to study. Invites, so tomorrow? White heavy checkmark I won't make it this time, but thank you for thinking of me. End of conversation. 3. Swap guilt for curiosity. Instead of, I'm a monster for saying no, ask yourself, what is this no allowing me to gain? 4. Remember, you are not responsible for other people's reactions. If someone gets upset by your no, that's their problem, not yours. Mature people respect limits, the others just wanted you to be a rug. 5. Practice no like a muscle. The more you exercise, the more natural it becomes. The first time hurts. The 10th empowers. What happens when you start saying no? Real testimonials. I stopped taking work calls after 7 p.m. At first, I thought I would be fired. Today, my boss praises me for being organized and having clear boundaries. Marsha, 34 years old. I said no to a relationship that left me exhausted. At first, I was afraid of being alone. Today, I attract people who treat me with the respect I demand. Raphael, 28 years old. I refused to help my sister pay a debt that wasn't mine. She was angry, but 2 months later she thanked me. I needed to learn to deal with the consequences. Anna, 41 years old. Moral of the story, your no's aren't walls, they're filters. And what's on the other side is much better than what you're leaving behind. Quick exercise. Do it right now. 1. Take your cell phone and open the conversation list. Is there someone who always asks for favors and never reciprocates? Right, but don't send yet hi, name. I have to be honest, I won't be able to help with this time. Thank you for understanding. Feel the weight of that no. Is it fear? Blame? Relief? Write it down. 2. Look at your schedule for the week. Is there a commitment you don't want to keep? Cancel one. Just one. Notice how your body reacts. 3. Think about a belief you carry. If I say no, I'll be alone. Good people don't refuse requests. Write the opposite. My numbers attract people who respect me. To reflect, and note on the mirror. Saying yes out of fear is living other people's lives. Saying no out of self-love is starting to live yours. Save this. The freest people I know are not the ones with the most money or the most time. They are the ones that owe the least satisfaction. Now tell me, what's the no you've been putting off for months? A project? A relationship? A habit? What would you do with the 10 hours a week that you would get back if you stopped doing what you don't want to do? Would you learn a language? Would you sleep more? Would you start that business? Share this text with anyone who needs permission to set limits, and remember, the life you deserve is on the other side of the no's you're afraid to say. Bell turn on notifications so you don't miss the next reflection. How to stop feeling guilty for prioritizing yourself without becoming selfish. Until then, and remember, every no you say today is a yes to the future you want. Herb. P.S. If you've made it this far, it's because you're ready for the next step. Most people live trapped in the approval trap. You don't. This already puts you in the top 1%. Now just act. PPS bonus challenge. For the next 7 days, say no to one thing you would only do out of obligation. Then tell me in the comments how you felt. I promise, it will be liberating. Yellow heart. Techniques used in this continuation, to replicate. 1. Visual metaphor, your life like a garden, turns abstract into concrete. 2. simplified scientific explanation, ancestral brain mechanism, gives credibility. 3. Shocking contrast. The people who are most offended by your limits generates identification and healthy revolt. 4. List of trade-offs. Every no is a yes to, shows tangible benefits. 5. Practical step-by-step guide, how to say no without guilt, immediate action. 6. Real testimonials, social proof plus empathy. 7. Interactive exercise. Pick up your cell phone, look at your diary, physical engagement, not just mental. 8. Phrase to write down on the mirror, memorable plus shareable. 9. Bonus challenge, 7 days, reader commitment. 10. Secret between friends, tone creates intimacy. Why does this work? Neuroscience. The brain loves lists, stories, and challenges, activates dopamine. Psychology. Validation plus empowerment reduce resistance to change. Marketing. Sequential CTAs, share, activate notifications, exercise, increase engagement. Next level. Turn this text into a video, Instagram post, or even a workshop. The format is adaptable and virality proof, made to be shared.